Hello, Playful Eco Warriors, and welcome to another episode of Climate for Fun, the podcast that turns climate change into a laughing matter. Here's Antonio Salituro, climate scientist, writer, and comedian. I'm thrilled to have Esteban Gast with me today, who is an entertainer telling stories that matter, but most of all, a fellow climate comedian. Welcome, Esteban, and thanks for joining me.
Antonio, thank you for having me. I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited.
Me too. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's the spirit, that's the mood. Yeah. So are you ready to entertain us about climate change?
Yes, I think so. I think
cool,
maybe.
Cool. Okay, yeah. I'm sure you will. So let's get a con then. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go through some questions. Yeah. So you're happy with that. So on your website, you define yourself as a generally curious comedian. Yeah. So specifically, does it just mean you're pestering people with questions or what? I mean, really, how important is curiosity in comedy and in life in general to you?
Yeah, it just me. I'm curious why you would ask that. This is everything. I just ask people questions. Okay. I've never answered a question in my life. I only respond with more questions. Like a therapist, I'll go, well, and how does that make you feel? Yeah, I mean, I think curiosity in comedy is everything. Like I think good comedy comes from observing. Good comedy, I think, comes from like chasing, like pulling the threads of your mind that you're curious about. Right? Like I think you get to a place where you maybe have a first thought or a first premise, and then you go, where does that go? And you sort of follow the like the trail, like the breadcrumbs all the way to something interesting. So I think the base of everything's curiosity. I also put that on my website because I think there's so many comedians and you try to define yourself, and I was like, okay, what is the comedy that I'm making? Like what are the things that tie everything together? And I was like, I think everything is, I'm just like curious. Like I don't think I'm looking at the world and being like, yeah, the world is bad. And I don't think I'm like naive. I just think I'm like, why does this happen? Where does this come from?
Yeah.
I think, a lot of the jokes start with why.
Yeah, I think so, because, sometimes we don't even think about stuff, just take it for granted, and then, we never investigate, scrutinize. No, that's good. Inquisitive in mind, yeah, okay, cool, sounds good.
Yeah.
Challenging. All right, so last year you launched the Climate Comedy Course along with Generation 180. You said that this is the first of a kind project in putting together comedians and scientists. But I'm curious myself, so that's not true. It already happened when the White House environmental advisor tried to talk to Trump, right? I mean, it didn't end up well, but it did happen. I mean, anyway, I hope your collaboration has worked out a bit better, yeah?
Yeah, that's a good point. What we should say is we're the first people who are intentionally comedians and science. That's a good point. That's a good, because there were a lot of funny moments. I think not planned. And I don't know if they're curious comedians. I think they're just sad. Sad comedians.
Probably, yeah. So how is it coming along? I mean, is it doing well? Yeah.
The Climate Comedy Cohort, I mean, it's so great. It's with Generation 180 and Center for Media and Social Impact. Good Laugh, which is an American university, and Good Laugh is all about like laughter and comedy and social impact. So the Climate Comedy Cohort pairs a bunch of comedians. I literally just got back from DC, and there's 9 comedians, and we sat them down with these incredible climate scientists, people from NRDC and RARE, which is like behavioral science, and David Roberts is a big climate scientist. And we just wrote jokes about climate change and sketches, and we pitched Comedy Central, and we're going to do some takeover with them. So it's really, really fun. It's really great. And it's nice that it is. We're trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Our second year doing this. Last year we did this, and it's a little bit different than the bumbling Trump White House trying to. I mean, the people that Trump had working for him were like climate deniers too. They were like,
interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if they wouldn't even have liked anything. They'd be like, why do we need to make jokes about this? This isn't a real thing. So this is exciting that we're working with all these people. Yeah, I mean, just telling really silly stories about a really serious issue.
So they're getting along anyway, yeah?
Yeah. Everything
Okay.
going
Okay.
smoothly.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Well, sticking to this point. So, when introducing this year comedian theme, you dubbed it as the climate solution you haven't heard about. Yeah. So now some of our listeners might say there must be a reason for that. So, how on earth can comedy save the air?
Yeah, the climate solution you hadn't heard about and didn't know that was needed in the world is
Yeah.
the climate solution you might be like, wait a minute, but I think that's good. I think when it comes to climate change communications, and you know this, you're a communications guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is so important to think outside of what a lot of people are doing, right? So I think there have been, I mean, now what, 25 years of communications that a lot of them are like doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Let's say, right? So it's like the world's gonna, which first off is like, it's totally valid. A lot of the predictions,
Yeah.
present some of that, like, right? I'm not saying that that is a bad thing to do. What I believe, though, and what science shows in the climate comedy cohort is proving, and especially the folks at Generation 180 that got like this really amazing flip the script program, is that there's different ways to talk about these things. There's different way, like, right? It can be climate, or I'm sorry, it can be comedy.
Yeah.
But it can also be humor, and it can be absurdity, and it can be more grounded, and it can be sciencey, and it can be allegories, right? It can be, there's so many ways to talk about this. So for us, we're really excited about that. And something that I think is really missing is that there is a lot of hope, like sustainable energy. Wind and solar are the cheapest energy in human history.
Yeah.
And no one knows that, right? Like there's so much good stuff. And I think for us to find different ways to communicate is so important. So I think I love if someone goes, wait a minute, we haven't, I haven't heard about anything like that. To me, that's a really exciting place to experiment. That doesn't mean that everyone needs to communicate that way. But I, as a comedian and artist, I'm like, what are people not saying? What are people not thinking? Where are people not going? And can we go those places?
Yeah, standing out from the crowd, So I mean, it's good to focus on the positive and the bright side and the solution. It's not just about jokes, really. It's just it's also like solution, funny solution as well.
Totally. And there's so many solutions right now. I think that's the thing. I think people are like, maybe people go like, oh, can you joke about something so serious? And you're like, sure. First off, comedy has always joked about serious things, but secondly, it's like, have you watched any comedy specials? Like a lot of them are dark, and they're about serious things, and they're so funny. But the second thing is like, there's a lot of also hope and solutions. Kind of what you're saying, right? It's like there's a lot of really good stuff that we're also now telling. So it's not even like we have to. The jokes don't have to be about the saddest headlines. They can be jokes and humor pulled from really encouraging headlines, really encouraging science, really encouraging technological advances.
Yeah, I always think about, one of the recent news, not quite recent, but there was basically someone who is connecting a reactor to a club, so that basically, a geothermal reactor, so that basically people, while dancing, they just produce like renewable heat, so that's so cool.
That's so cool.
It just, if you think about that, wow, okay, I'm going to a club tonight, I'm making some renewable power, mate, it's so cool.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That, first off, that one, so interesting, and two, so much humor from that. Like, right, if you and I sat down and wrote jokes about the club that is renewable power from like the bodies inside and the heat from dancing, like that's so fun. There's so many places to go.
I think it's called body heat or something like that. Their technology or something like this.
Love it. Finally, the people who sweat a lot when dancing. They're like, I'm actually a better climate advocate. That's why I'm getting so sweaty on the dance floor.
We found the purpose for those. A meaning. Anyway, so I read that you run a sustainability school in the jungle. So are students that bad in LA to make you teach down there? I mean, so seriously, I'd be curious to know more about this wild project. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is down in Panama. I used to run it. No longer involved, but I love it. But it's wonderful. But it's in it's in Panama. It's called Kaliyala. It's a totally off the grid town. So we have solar power and hydropower. And it is in part of the town. The biggest part of the town is this like sustainability school. So we have students from all over the world, and there's different programs from like outdoor recreation to agriculture to even one of my favorites was like cooking or culinary. And you're like learning how to be a chef and how to in an off the grid situation. So they're being really inventive with foods, right? So we're like, because everything, it's import substitution, right? So we don't want anything coming in. We want to grow. We have a huge farm. We want to grow all our own food. We want to like really, right. So it's like instead of peanut butter, we got to find a solution. So the culinary program is incredible. They're like finding they're like, how can we make peanut butter if we don't grow peanuts?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess.
That's so fun. So but it's so wonderful. It was amazing. I lived in the jungle for almost 2 years. I lived in like a tent. So now in LA, I feel the fact that I'm like sitting here in a room with walls and a roof is like crazy. I'm like, who am I? I used to be a jungle man. I used to live amongst the trees. And now look at me. I'm in a room sitting at a desk. How far I've fallen.
Well, it happens. Life, gets in the way. But what about, I mean, you still sourcing peanut butter from Panama or not?
I wish. No, so now the school, I would love to go down. I haven't been down in a little bit, but yeah, they figured out, I'm trying to think, there was a lot. We grew plantains. So plantains substituted a lot.
All right. Okay. I love fried plantains, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of fried plantains, but then like creative, like there was like plantain lasagna.
Oh my God.
Plantain everything.
I'm Italian, mate. Yeah, just go take it easy, yeah? Plantain lasagna, wow. Okay.
Insulting on behalf of everyone. I want to apologize to all Italians.
That's a hard bite to digest, like... No, it's fine. I mean, I'm very open, to be honest. It's right.
Okay, please, don't judge it before you take a bite of this lasagna, the plantain lasagna.
Yeah. There will be cricket lasagna soon, I guess. We should be, flexible.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
cool.
So funny.
That's nice. So, as part of your job, you get to talk to different audiences, like young students, experienced scientists, entrepreneurs. So, have you come across any climate deniers? And if you have, did you take the piss out of them, or you tell them to piss off? What's your approach?
Yeah, I think what I think is interesting is there the people who've been most frustrated about comedy and climate are people who go, oh, it's not a big deal. What do the Earth is heating, and then there's also people who like on the total other side who are like very strong advocates. So I totally respect it, but are like the climate crisis is too sacred of a thing to approach with humor. So I think the different audiences are very funny, because I think I sometimes get a little flack from people who are like, here we go, the green guy, here we go, Los Angeles guy, okay. But then I sometimes go in other spaces and they go, how the sanctity of how important the climate crisis is. And I was like, oh, I agree. I'm just approaching the communication side a little differently.
Yeah.
So it is very funny to run into the two people who are like less than supportive and see how different they are on the spectrum, right? Ideological spectrum. They couldn't be more at odds. One are climate deniers and one are like the biggest climate people. But those are the people who have who've most been like, "What are you doing, kid?" You know, no one's been bad, but they've been like, "What are you trying to do?"
Yeah. So you sit in the middle, let's say, trying to kind of, get the best of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Fair enough. It's a nice balance, you need to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be balanced. You got to, you got to frustrate people on both sides.
That's the mission. Yeah, true. Okay, well, speaking to people about global warming is cool, but you did even cooler things. So, like being paid by Hyundai to jump on an electric car for a road trip along scenic routes to visit Yellowstone and other stunning American national parks. First of all, well done. Anyway, I'm going to put a spoke in your EV wheel. Yeah. So the other day I was scrolling through my Facebook feed and stumbled on a dirty joke about EVs. It went like, EVs are like diarrhea. So you never know if you'll make it home. Yeah. So now, based on your experience, yeah, is it just a shitty myth? I mean, like, assuming they don't eat Carolina Reaper or any other laxative, should people be worried about making it home whenever they drive an EV?
Oh man, those Facebook jokes. They're changing culture one joke at a time. Yeah. Listen, I've got an EV now. So I did this road trip with Hyundai. It was a blast. It was so great. The car went like 250 miles per charge. So I drove it, there was a camera crew and things like that. But I would drive and it was beautiful. We were going down the Pacific Coast Highway, the PCH, this like beautiful highway in California. And then we would drive and then park somewhere at lunch and charge for a little bit and then keep driving. It was great. It was it really cool. And I've got an EV now. I've got a Subaru Solterra, which is really fun. And like you just plan. First off, there's so many, at least in California, but they're being put elsewhere in the US. There's so much infrastructure for charging that literally yesterday I went to a comedy show. Yesterday I did 3 different comedy shows in LA. I was bouncing around. And 2 of them I could plug in at a charger. So I was like, oh, this is great. Anywhere I go, I can plug in. Like what,
That's cool.
So this would be like EVs. If you have diarrhea, there's bathrooms everywhere. You never know when you'll make it home. You're like, what? There's a restroom everywhere. You can go into any restaurant and there's a restroom. So this would be the same. I'm like, if you feel like this is one, here's the good news: bathrooms everywhere. And then the second thing is the I mean, I drive a good amount because I do comedy stuff, but it's like I never drive more than 25 miles a day.
Fair enough.
So the charge on my EV is like 250. It's similar to the one I did with Hyundai. That's 250. So that means, and then I come home and I can plug in or whatever. A lot of times I don't even plug in. I'm like, all right, whatever. I got enough charge.
Yeah.
So it is truly something that I don't think about too much. Yeah.
I think there is just a bit of panic charging, like of people like, oh my God, am I going to find the charger? Am I going to queue for 3 hours or something? I mean, I think now the infrastructure, even in the UK, to be honest, I can see it's much more developed. So I think, it shouldn't be no one. It's just an excuse. Maybe on the costs, I could argue, I could understand a bit more, but on the infrastructure, I think it's no point. The joke doesn't make the cut. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So things are getting more difficult now. Yeah. Be ready. So now, no, I'm joking. I mean, tell me one thing about climate change that makes you laugh.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I think the fact, maybe even what we just talked about, that people are so nervous.
Yeah.
People are so nervous about electric vehicles, and they're like, oh my gosh, what if you don't make it home? And you're like, you drive in a gas car and you don't have a gas station at your house. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I can plug in my car at my house. I can plug it into an outlet. You can't do that with a gas car. Like what is it's such a funny thing that the idea The idea of a car that requires fuel to keep going feels so new to people. Like they're like, can you imagine regularly filling up your car with an energy source? And I'm like, what is your car? What is gasoline? So I would say, even if we're talking about EVs, I think that's so funny. Even that's like, oh, don't know if you make it home. It's like, no one has ever run out of gasoline. This is what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know crazy stories about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's such a funny thing that they're like, I'm like, what do you think you're doing? Is yours yours is just a fuel source that needs absolutely nothing.
Okay, so right, that's a good one. So now tell me one fun thing that people can do to fight climate change.
Okay, wow. One fun thing that people can do. Okay, here's my big idea.
Oh, right. Yeah, go for it.
Is anyone can do anything. This is so lame. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
But I think for a while I thought, what can I do for climate change, right? And I was like volunteering in groups and doing ocean, beach cleanups in Venice Beach where I live. And,
cool.
And I'm like, okay, there are these things, and then I realized, like, oh my goodness, wait a minute, it is like the whatever your interest is, whatever your passion is, you can actually bring that to the climate change fight. So I think, like, for me, it was a moment where I clicked that, like, comedy and writing was something. Like, I think for you, I love that you're like, hey, I'm a copywriter in this lens, right? Like, I'm a climate change copywriter. That's like, literally, if anyone is like, I'm like, great, there can be so many things that you can do with that. So I think rather than people wondering, I think, the shift for me is, rather than wondering, what can I do, for climate change, it's shifted to, like, what do I enjoy doing? What am I passionate about? And how can I bring that to the climate fight? So that has been the big shift in my life.
I agree. I'm on this, as well. Yeah, true. So I totally understand. So, cultivate your passions and, serve for a good cause. Yeah. Cool. Makes sense. So, okay, that's, it shouldn't be difficult for you, but could you come up with one joke about climate change? Like, any, even lame one.
I mean, the thought, and now I'm just repeating material from earlier, but I think the thought of, like, of what do you think powers your gut? Like, I would love, if I were to write a joke from what we talked about, it'd be like presenting, be like, have you guys seen about these cars? And you could run out of fuel at any time, and you need, like, really specific fuel that's hard to get. And it's really complicated. And the fuel for this car causes wars and political instability. And of course, I'm talking about gasoline cars. Yeah. Like a good little misdirect.
Yeah, and then people worry about little charger, like. That's a funny one. Yeah, true. Okay, so now it's time for my quiz. Who wants to be climate aware? Are you ready to keep on that?
Ooh, yeah.
That's gonna be a challenge, yeah?
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do my best.
You'll do great, yeah. But it's only for the glory, yeah? Okay, no money involved.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so first question. So you got 3 options, yeah? So how many CO2 emissions does a Hyundai Kona release during its lifetime?
Ooh. So, I'm gonna say.
I'll give you 3 options. Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay.
As many as a gasoline car driven for over 55,000 miles. Option B. As many as Esteban Gast and the Hyundai Kona during just one episode of the Hyundai Highways. As many as a lion chasing Esteban Gast for over 55,000 miles. So what do you go for?
Oh my goodness. Okay, the first one is
as many as gasoline cars driven for over 55,000 miles. Yeah.
The second is
as many as your car, basically, during just one episode of your highway show.
And the third one is
and the third one is a lion chasing you for over 55,000 miles.
Wow. Okay, well, I want to say the second one because the lion one is too scary.
Yeah, okay.
The first one, the lion one, I don't even want to picture the scenario.
Actually, well, okay, the lion, the lion would be crazy. No, it's not. But it's the first one, actually, the gasoline one, yeah.
Oh, 55.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I didn't know how many emissions you produce in that. But yeah, it's the first one, yeah. So a gasoline car driven for over 55,000 miles. So, it's good. It means it's good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. So, second question, yeah. So, what is green colonialism about? So, the Danish occupation of Greenland. Option B, Western countries setting up renewables projects in developing nations that violate indigenous rights. Or the invasion of U.S. national parks with a convoy of electric cars led by Esteban Gast.
Okay, great. So could you repeat the question?
Okay, yeah. So the question is, what is green colonialism about?
Yeah.
So the first option is the Danish occupation of Greenland. Then Western countries setting up Western countries setting up renewable projects in developing nations that violate indigenous rights, or your invasion of U.S. national park.
It's gotta be B.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, cool. So one question out of two so far. So the third one, then last one. So who said that climate protests are just a ridiculous excuse to skip school? So option A, Greta Thunberg mom after drinking one bottle of brand vin. Yeah. Option B, a tiger attending Esteban Gast sustainability school in the jungle. Or C, Daniela Santanchè, Italian Minister of Tourism.
Wow, it's got to be the Italian minister.
And yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, good. So 2 out of 3. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Well done. Well done, Marcelo. So, okay, that's the end of our Climate for Fun episode. Esteban, thank you so much for your fun contribution.
Antonio, thank you. This was very fun.
Yeah, I had as much fun as you, I think. And of course, thanks to whoever tuned in today. Next episode will be in a month as usual. In the meantime, remember to fight climate change one laugh at a time. Ciao. Ciao, Esteban.
Ciao.